A very good morning to you. Welcome to Sunday Best. We're on KTN Home and BTV. Thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to come to where you are so that we can have a conversation. Today we talk about fatherhood, all right? Especially in this generation. How do I become a better father? How do I raise my children better than I was raised, And what are the challenges of fatherhood, especially in this generation? Some of the questions we'll be highlighting. We are at the Cascadia Apartments. And you can check it out. It's on Two Rivers Mall. There's a showroom right there. Check it out. It is simple. It is beautiful. And simple is beautiful many times. So check it out. I can assure you, you will fall in love with it and you'll want to get one for yourself. All right? So karibu sana to get together with me. We have great men, great young men, young fathers. One has a very hard name. Damon Shunet. Hey, hiyo jina inakaa, it sounds Caribbean. Sindio? But you also look Caribbean in a way. Nini hairstyle nini, yani swag ya Caribbean. Karibu sana, my brother.
Thank you so much.
You're well?
I'm very fine.
You're a father to twins.
Yes.
Wow. How old?
Hey, I might be crucified. 1 year and over 8 months.
All right. Yes. You're very politically right. Usemi the exact.
Yeah.
Unasema to over.
Yes.
Or yeah. Karibu sana. Yes. And it's good to have you. Let's hear more about you. You're a musician. You're a minister of the gospel. You're a business person.
Yes.
Give us more details.
So, like you heard, my name is Damon Shuneta. I'm born again. I love God. I am a lawyer. Actually,
wow.
I'm going to finish my Kenya School of Law to become an advocate of the High Court.
All right.
I will become. I'm a pastor of Rain City Chapel,
which
is 2 weeks old. Hallelujah.
Wow.
Amen.
Wow.
And then I'm also the husband to Grace Wanjiko, and together we have a YouTube channel called Shunets Forever.
Yes.
We share content to do with parenting and marriage and just, sharing our love in hopes of it, encouraging other young people to go on the journey of godly marriages. Lovely. And I'm an author of a book called What God Says About Your Identity. I sell cabro and I put paving blocks and all those things.
Yes.
You can tell me, I'll come and put for you.
Wow.
As well as so many other things. But I am very humbled and honored to be here today.
Lovely. And thank you for taking the conversation online so that we need sober conversation.
True.
Thank you for taking that step.
Amen.
All right. And of course, we have my brother here. People say Wycliffe. But when you say Wycliffe Mutakosana, he's Wycliffe. Sindio, nimekosea?
Exactly, Wycliffe.
Wycliffe Adolwa. Karibu sana. He is he's a corporate guy. He works with ABSA, and he can give us more details. A father as well as a husband, and many other things. Karibu Adolwa.
Thank you very much. I'm glad and humbled to be here. And I think his intro is going to make mine to be a
dwarf.
A dwarf. Yes.
Not at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm a father to two.
Right.
I'm married to one wife, Doreen Dano. A father to two, a boy 9 years of age, Johari, and a girl 7 years of age.
Lovely. Amaya.
Yes, other than corporate, I love hiking.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I love hiking with all my heart. I do a lot of it.
Yes.
And, my hope is by the time I get to around 50, I can plan to go to
Everest.
Even if it's at the base camp.
Wow.
So tell us, you've hiked Umenda Wapi?
I've done Mount Kenya 4 times, various routes.
My goodness.
Yes, I've done Kilimanjaro once, and probably the hills around.
Yeah. Unaona vile anazita hills. Hizo malongo not si tunaona ndio mountains. Wow, Kilimambogo, those ones. Quite a number of times.
But I've done it for almost more than 10 years.
Wow. Where does the passion for hiking come from?
You do it intentionally.
It comes from within.
Okay.
And also just having that feeling when you get to the top, as in,
Yes.
it's, you can't compare it with anything else. When
You-
you're on top of that mountain, you can't.
It's an experience.
It's a totally different experience.
Wow.
I've seen people change their lives along
As a
the
result of
yes,
that.
As a result of that.
Interesting.
Yes.
You love pushing the limits.
I love pushing the limits and I love helping people push their limits.
Wow.
Yes.
Has your wife hiked before?
Yes, she has. She has done Mount Kenya.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Hiking family right there.
Yes.
All right, so let's come back to talk about fatherhood. Karibuni sana, Damon as well as Wycliffe. It's good to have you guys. Let's start. What's the place of the father in our generation? Wycliffe, probably we can begin with you.
I think I didn't mention I'm born again.
Oh, yes.
So it's important to mention that.
That's right.
The whole discussion is
Revolves
going to revolve
around.
around
Yes.
myself being born again,
Right.
and a follower of Christ. Because I think that's the foundation.
All right.
Because unless that foundation is laid, then at times it becomes very difficult to describe a father. Because now I think from that foundation, then I learned that being a father is, how do I put it, is being present.
All right.
Yes, as in being there for your children at any given time. And being there is not just you are as in
physically available.
No,
Right.
it goes way
Beyond
that.
Yes. So I like it. I mean, right in there, being a father means presence.
Yes.
Damon,
Yes.
what does being a father mean to you as a young father? To twins.
First of all, he's been a father longer than I have. I think both of them have been fathers longer than I have been.
Right.
So I believe that I am still trying to figure it out myself. So I wouldn't speak as an authority on the matter, but I would say that by the grace of God, is being a father to me means being what God was to Jesus. Because the model of a father that we see in the Bible is God as a father.
Right.
He said, "This is how I want you to pray. When you pray, say my father."
Right.
You understand? So I believe that a father should be a person that children can come to and say that if I need someone to talk to, and if I feel like I'm lost, I don't want to run away from my father. I want to run towards him.
Wow.
So yeah, so for me, I think it would mean being a figure that your children would feel secure to run to you. Yeah.
I like the example of God and Christ, the Son and the Father, being the lead, providing security, taking charge, and of course, presence. In your own experience, Wycliffe, how was it for you being molded by your own father and being raised by your own father? This is where the rubber now starts meeting the road.
I think it's usually said that in a family, more often than not, you will reproduce what you have gone through.
Right.
Yes, and my father, looking back, I think if there's anything he did for us, is to try provide for us.
Right.
That he did, 100%.
Uh-huh.
I would salute him for that.
All right.
But then along the journey, I also noticed that for him, I think the emotional part wasn't very key because he never actually pursued it. It would be very difficult for you to find us having a conversation.
Yes.
Just seated, me and my father having a conversation. I think that might not be, unless we are discussing, how would I say,
school.
business or
Yes,
school or
right.
something like that.
Yeah.
So I would say the part of provision, he did so well. And I would also say that he also encouraged us to go to church so that we find our identity.
Right.
Because that also has really helped me along the journey. Yes, because that is now what has helped me define who a father is. Because looking back, I think there are several gaps that I would wish to fill that probably I didn't go through
Right.
as an individual, but I would wish to fill them up.
Right.
Given the journey that I've walked with Christ, I think as Damon said that when the more you walk in Christ, the more you understand the relationship between Christ and God, which
Right.
is Son and the Father.
Right.
So that also helps you to be able to model that now
To your
to your
children.
children.
Right.
Yes.
Did your father tell you, I love you? Do you remember?
I've
Wow.
never hugged my father.
Yes. It's very interesting
Yes.
that in our generation, we're not very far from each other in terms
Yeah.
of our age.
Yeah.
And I meet many fathers, young fathers. They will tell you, I can't remember my father having said I love you and hugged me. How? Why is that, Damon? Why do you think that never happened?
I think it's the how do I put it? I think it's the disconnect in terms of culture of how differently we were raised from our father.
Right.
Because my grandmother used to tell me that when we were young girls, our grandfather died when she was a young girl.
Yeah.
So she was telling us we used to be forced to take food to the men in the mountain because it was during the colonial period.
Right.
So our fathers, our grandfathers were raised by fathers who were born in the pre-colonial period. Then they were born in the colonial period.
Right.
So they raised our fathers now who are born in the post-colonial period. And then now you have these children who are born in a democratic society, and then their experience is very different.
True.
And there are certain two things that I have seen that when you are not in them, you have a lot of content to share about them. One of those things is marriage. You know so much about marriage when you're not married. You can speak and you can write books. But when you get married, you become quiet. Even fatherhood is another thing, because when you become a father,
yes,
you begin to discover that there are certain things that you used to question about your father. I wish my father didn't do this.
Yes.
But now you are doing the same things and you become less judgmental to
that's
your father.
true.
So I think I wouldn't say that it's they are bad for not hugging us. But when they were born, their fathers were going to fight. They were fighting. They were in the middle of a battle. You understand the colonial
Right.
period and
Yes.
how tough it was.
Right.
So they never experienced that, because during the colonial period, the fathers left the villages and they came to the capital, to the urban areas to look for employment and to work in the settlers' farms. So they left our mothers at home. The only relationship that our fathers had with their fathers was provision.
Right.
You get?
And he's mentioned it right in there. Our father was a great provider.
Yeah, because when he was growing up, that is what he saw,
Right.
and that is what was molded before him. Now here you are seeing fatherhood presented on TV. During their time, they didn't have television to compare. Their
Right.
culture was their culture. What they inherited is what they had to work with. So now we live in an age where we have a lot of information and a lot of things to compare by.
Right.
So now when you watch a movie, you see a father is going to cover the child, kisses them goodnight, reads stories to them, and your
Yes.
child is watching these things, and that is what they also
Expect.
Our dads are doing this. So now,
Yeah.
so now even us, we begin to accommodate to that. So I wouldn't say that it is a fault on their part. It's just a disconnect because of the differences in the periods that we were raised in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Also, just to add on that, I think love is a very interesting thing, because you love someone the way you understand best.
I like it.
So for them, love meant provision. So they would go to any extent to provide, because that meant they loved their children.
Right.
So for them, that was
Love.
love. The
Expression
standard
of love.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, just that now, as he says, as time has gone by, that expression has mutated and evolved and changed all over.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we've gotten to accommodate much more. For us, it goes beyond the provision. You think about quality time.
Yes.
You think about touch. Going out for dates with your girls. And so on and so forth. So we appreciate our fathers.
Yeah.
I remember my father, and I like what you said about when you're in there, you realize, Allah, this thing is real.
Yeah.
There's a day my father used to tell us, I cannot have a pair of shoe. I cannot buy a pair of shoe because of you.
Wow.
And it was jargon. You're thinking, why? My father is an engineer. Why can't you buy pair of shoes because of us. There was a season in my life I couldn't get an extra pair of shoes because of the things that were happening. And I remembered my father. It is actually real, and it happens.
Yeah.
So you are a father of twins. There is something that fatherhood has molded in you.
Yeah.
As much as it's a very short period, there is something that it has incited in you.
Yes.
What is that, Damon?
I think I've become more aware of everything around. This is what I'll say. From where I'm coming from a place of I've been a mentor to so many young people, my
Right.
peers, most of them.
Yes.
And the relationship between a mentor and a mentee in our current day and age, even as a minister and people you're ministering to, you will realize that people in church call their pastors father. And there is nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It has a spiritual connotation, but it also has a, how should I call it, a natural connotation, because our parents, because remember when I said God the Father, remember when Jesus was in the water and the voice of God spoke, "This is my son who I love and I am pleased by him." Most of the people that I've had the privilege of mentoring and working with, most of them suffer from wounds inflicted by their fathers.
Wow.
They won't complain about their mothers, but they will talk about their fathers. Because there is something that they crave from the father figure that is supposed to be provided by the male figure only, and which, if you miss that, you will always have a void in you,
Right.
something that needs to be filled.
Right.
Because naturally, God is always right. His plan was a father and a mother will sire a child, and this child will be brought up by both the mother and the father in the garden.
Right.
You understand? So that was the picture that was supposed to be there. Now we have these cultural boundaries and the cultural things and the meanings that have been created by the world of what a father should be. Because according to the world, the father is a provider. And I like what he said, because he said that parents equate, our fathers equate providing as love. So they will tell you, if you try and tell them, "Hey, but daddy, do you love me?" They will tell you, "I've paid your school fees. Didn't I just pay for something that you needed? I have medical insurance, you have all these things." But they don't understand that now what you're referring to, "Dad, you're more important to me than just finances. You're more important to me than money." And so now, because we are living in an age where people are more aware of themselves, if you notice, people now begin to reflect so much on themselves and try to find healing from things that have happened before. During our father's time, I don't think they had the privilege of learning how to heal and to like figure themselves out. So for me, one of the things that being a father provoked was me facing my how should I call it, facing my past,
your past,
facing the hurt that I experienced as a child, and trying to be more aware and conscious and praying for grace to not hurt my children in the same way that I was hurt. And I say praying for grace because you can never be too far from what again what you said.
Very
too far
true.
from what you come from, because like gives a birth to kind.
Right.
So the tendencies that you don't like about your father, they are resident in you because you carry the same DNA.
Right.
So it will take grace and awareness for you to be able to kill some of those habits.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you're more aware.
Yes.
And that's what fatherhood has done to you.
Yes.
They say that we parent the way we were parented.
Yeah.
So chances are very high
that
you'll want to parent your children
the way you were parented.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry to interject, it's like a cycle. I once had, I don't know whether it was T.D. Jakes preaching, when he said that abusers, the people who are abused, who you would think that would have more compassion, most of the times when they get to that position of power, they become the abusers.
Apparently.
You understand? So it's a thing, that the thing that you say, "Me, I can never be," and that's why you should never open your mouth and say, "I can never be like so and so."
Yes.
You better pray for grace,
That's
for
true.
God to guide you through it, so that you don't become like what you have experienced before.
And awareness is very key. You need to be very aware.
Yeah.
Adolwa, I know you want to add. Yes.
On what you have said, I think that awareness bit is so important, because when you live life for say 20 years with your parents, it's very likely that whatever you have lived through gets stuck somewhere in your subconscious. I think that's why the Bible keeps saying, "Renew your mind."
Yes, every time.
Because if you don't, then even if you don't want to behave the way you are behaving, you'll still behave like that.
True.
Yes, whether you might not even notice that is what you are doing.
Right.
Unless someone looks and tells you, by the way, you're just behaving like your father.
Yeah.
Is when you realize, yeah, by the
It's
way, I'm
true.
actually doing that.
That's
But if you're not aware about that, then
Yeah.
you'll never notice.
True.
That's true.
So I just wanted to add on that awareness.
Can I add on that?
Keep adding, keep
The
adding.
mind does not know how to process negative information.
Yes.
I saw that on a post on Instagram, and whoever was speaking was saying that if someone tells you don't think of a snake, guess what you will think of? You will think of a
Exactly.
snake.
Yes.
So if you walk around, like live your life as a father, thinking about the negative things that your father did, you're more conscious. I'm not going to do this. I am not going to do this. I am not going to say this to them. That is what you were thinking, and that is what
Right.
you will keep processing.
That's true.
And as a man thinketh in his
He
heart, so
becomes.
is he.
Yeah.
So you will become what you
Yeah.
constantly think about.
That's true.
Yeah.
9-year-old and 7-year-old, how has that molded you? What kind of man are you now before you got these children?
I would say,
And you're a very strict father. I've
Yeah.
encountered, interacted with you a bit.
That's the national team.
Yes.
yeah, I would say it has taught me a lot. But I would put patience on top of the list,
Yes.
and I would put role modeling
Mm.
on top of the list.
Right.
Because it's very difficult to tell a child, don't do this. When you turn your back,
You
that's
do it.
exactly what. Because it's more interesting to do what you have been told not to do.
Yes.
And that's why Paul says, the things I want to do,
I
I don't do them. But the ones I don't, are the ones
Yes.
I keep doing.
Wow.
So that means that where now the modeling part is one, if you don't want your child to watch TV, because like for us now we had to put boundaries even for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for you to find us seated watching TV for 2 hours.
Right.
It wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I realized I can't tell a child not to watch TV.
Then
That is
you.
Joe.
Yeah.
Then when I walk in the evening, the
That's-
first thing I do is
Switch on the
switch on
TV.
the TV.
Yeah.
So that means I also have to forgo the watching.
Right.
I can't tell my kids, Joe and Amaya, to not to use phones. And anytime I'm seated down,
Wow.
I'm on
You're
phone.
going on social
I'm
media.
going on social media because
Yeah.
they see it.
True.
And when they see it, then they ask, okay, does it mean that when I grow up is when I'll be on phone, or does it mean that it's because of my age? So that modeling part has become so crucial, and that's why it links into the awareness.
Right.
Yes, each and everything that you do, you have to be aware that there's someone looking up unto you,
Right.
and they would easily repeat what you have done because they have seen
Wow.
it.
So your character
Yes,
has been shaped.
exactly.
You've undergone character development.
Yes, that must happen. Because if you don't change yourself,
Yes.
then trust me,
That's true.
it's a waste of effort telling them,
Yeah.
reading for them the rules. It doesn't work.
It doesn't.
Yes, and I think there was a pastor who mentioned that if your children have never seen you read the Bible, then they will never read the Bible. How would they read the Bible as much as you're telling them read the Bible?
Wow.
Then the patience bit is that you have to keep at it. Because you will tell them today, you can only watch TV for 1 hour.
Yes.
Of course, they'll forget tomorrow. Come back tomorrow and tell them, by the way, we said
It's
TV
1
is
hour.
1 hour.
Yeah.
Please write down here. You started at what time? You know, 9-year-old is.
I know.
You started at 9 o'clock. You stop
Yeah.
at what time?
10.
o'clock. Good. The following day, you still come back because that has to be repeated again and again till it becomes.
Yes.
in
And
the
they form a
subconscious.
habit as
yes,
well.
They have to form a habit of
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So as they form a habit, you can imagine what happens to you. You're also forming a habit.
That's true.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes. So that is
Role
what I'm saying.
modeling
That
and
must
patience.
happen.
Wow.
I mean, it's testament. Same here. You have to be a role model.
Yes.
You can't say preach water and
Yes,
drink
you
wine.
can't.
You know,
It doesn't
I'm
happen.
struggling because for me, I love the TV so much. Like when you're talking, I'm just looking at you.
Oh my.
I'm also being ministered to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the
Sacrifice.
things, one of the sacrifices that every parent has to make. Different parents do it differently,
Yeah.
but even people who have done research on, child development and so on, they will tell you more interactions like this
Yeah.
make the child grow better
True.
Yes.
than Right
My
now.
wife would like this video. She'll be like, I keep telling you. Like, that's what I keep telling you.
All right.
That's what she always says. You're
Great.
watching TV.
Yes. So
I'm
we
saying,
take.
but it's worship. I've just put worship. No.
No.
It's TV.
Yeah. Your wife is taking you the right direction. You need to love her more. So we take a short break. We'll be coming back with, of course, Wycliffe Adolo together with the Pastor Damon Shunet. And we are talking about fatherhood in this generation. We are at the Cascadia Apartments. That's Cascadia Apartments right here, the Two Rivers Mall. Amazing facility and apartment. Simple, beautiful. The aesthetics, the way it's been done, you will definitely come check out the show house at the Two Rivers Mall, and you will definitely love it. All right, so we take a short break. We'll be back in just a bit. Don't go too far.